Hey, what is up, you sick fucks? We're doing a show today. It's called Redo of Healer. We're going to be talking about it and our feelings on it. I just wanted to say before we get started here that this show is a little, I don't know, it's a bit triggering in a lot of ways. It's violent, okay, but it's also a bit messed up in the sexual department with some sexual assault. Riddled throughout, unfortunately. So if that is something that will prevent you from listening to this podcast, then do not do it. Thank you for the download, but you do not have to listen to this episode, especially if it's going to make you uncomfortable or sad. But for the rest of you who are sticking around, you are deplorable human beings, and I wish you nothing but pain in the afterlife. Thank you so much.
It's bad. Anime.
Hey everybody, I'm John.
And I'm Rob.
This fucking sucked. I hated this so much. God, this was the worst thing I've ever had to watch in my entire life.
I was so curious to see how much of the intro we'd get through before one of us fucking snapped, and I'm so glad it was you for a change, and I'm just so glad it was instantaneous.
It's a miracle that I even got my name in first. I don't even know how I did that. The amount of blind rage that I've been harboring in the past month to talk about this show has been just over 9,000, over the moon.
Okay, so we should briefly go into why this is so funny. So,
yes.
We agreed to do this show. It's a high dive. It's on High Dive, and I've been a little busy lately. And we were going to do this a session or two ago, but then time didn't work out, and we were like, all right, let's do the next session. And so what happened was I go on to High Dive, and I see episode 4 is finished. That's exactly where I left off, and I later learned exactly where you left off. I texted you yesterday. I'm like, hey. I know we're both busy. Are you busy, or do you just not want to watch the show anymore? You called me. And you said, yes, I've been busy, but I do not want to watch another fucking episode of Redo of the Healer. And that's what we're talking about today. The infamous Redo of Healer, Redo of the Healer. I forget the title. Bouncy, you'll put the correct title in the fucking.
I'll put it in the thing. And it's the correct title is Redo of Healer.
Yes.
We decided to call an audible on this one because.
We were originally going to do all
12?
All 12 episodes, but then we got to episode 4 and we realized we would rather kick a baby than watching this show.
Yeah, it got pretty freaking bad. I honestly
pretty freaking bad.
I think I got to maybe episode 6 or something, but what happened was, Rob,
you got to episode 5.
So
we share a High Dive.
I actually didn't watch a lot of them on High Dive.
Wait, really?
Because what was happening was I was looking for the uncensored version, and which you said was on High Dive.
Technically yes, technically no.
So
because there's 3 different versions.
Oh.
So there's the normal version, what's called the redo version, and the completely uncensored version. The redo is in the middle. Redo and the normal are both on High Dive. I remember I called you in the middle. I'm like, hey, click the redo version,
right?
But still, redo is pretty censored.
Because I think what happened was I got through maybe 1 or 2 episodes, and then you told me the thing about the redo version on High Dive. So I clicked the redo version, and I was making my way through the episode 2 or 3 or something, and I was like. There were all of these like horrible things happening, right? But I noticed there weren't any camera shots of them like happening. So I was like, this can't be the uncensored version then. So instead, from episode 2 to like 5, I think I went out on my own onto the dark web and found.
So you watched the fully uncensored.
Which was. Oh my God. I don't know if you watched any of these, but I watched the fully uncensored stuff, which I thought was on High Dive, but maybe I was working through a glitch or something. I don't know. So I guess it wasn't on High Dive. And I actually went out to some disgusting website and watched about 3 episodes to 4 episodes of straight up uncensored Redo of Healer, and it was probably the most traumatizing thing I have experienced in recent years when it comes to media. Boy,
when it comes to media,
was it a ride? Because those episodes, so there a lot in the redo version, they would have these scenes, like horrific scenes of like rape and sexual assault and all this stuff, but they would usually put the camera in another place. They would like blur out a couple things happening. This like nothing was blurred, fully upfront about everything. It was pretty gruesome. It was pretty awful.
Yeah, there was some violence in there too in episode 4 with the whole ice wolf thing. We'll get into that.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. Well, first of all, I besides us yelling about how ridiculously awful this show was to watch, let's talk about how you found it. Where did you find it? Why did you want us to do it? What brought us to this hilarious cesspool known as High Dive?
Well, because once the show came out, the entire internet did something like, ah! So the internet did that, and so I thought, okay, maybe this is something we should cover on a show about bad anime.
Yeah.
And then I got to episode 2, and I'm like, oh, we really need to talk about this. We desperately need to talk about this.
Wow. Yeah, I kind of don't know where to start, but I do have a lot of notes. So maybe we can start with like just the general plot story, like what's exactly happening here.
Yes, you start with it real quick. Cause I realize my computer's unplugged, so I'm gonna go fix that problem.
Oh God, yeah, fix that problem. I can start with all like the premise and the story and whatnot. So
go ahead.
The basic story, right, is there's the main character. Is he a protagonist? Is he an antagonist? Is he a hero? Is he an anti-hero?
He's a douche.
Not exactly clear. Yeah, he is kind of a douche. But he starts this story as a healer. He becomes like a hero with a lot of like heroes in this world / universe. That there's some sort of insignia that you're born with, which delineates you as a hero. And a hero could be many things, from a healer to like somebody that uses swords to somebody that uses, it's pretty unclear, but there's like a hero class of people that defend the country and the kingdom and fight demons and shit like that, right?
And they explained the name of the kingdom, but fuck if I remember it.
Yeah, fuck if I remember anything besides the rape. And he,
I mean yeah there's just so much of it where it's just like
it's unavoidable. You can't watch the show without seeing like at least 2-3 scenes of rape an episode. But either way, we digress.
More as they go on.
Probably. Oh my God. But either way, right? You have Kaoru, who's the kind of like healer guy, and he gets recruited by the kingdom to be a healer for the kingdom.
To be a healer, yeah. And so he does that, and then all him and a bunch of other warriors, they have this really big battle, and then he just turns around, he kills this demon lord, and then they're all powerless, about to die, and he's fully healed, and it's like, you've all done this to me, you've all beaten me, tortured me, raped me, drugged me. And it's like, what happened? This is episode 1.
Oh, what now? Yeah, this is the first scene.
So this is like the first scene, and he says, I'm going back in time and I'm redoing everything. I'm getting revenge for everything you've done to me. So through weird magic, he sends all his memories, all his pain, all his everything into his past self. It's essentially the same thing that happened in Mortal Kombat 9.
Yeah, you're right though.
So that's what it was when Raiden sent his memory back to his past self.
To past Raiden. Yeah, you're right.
So that's like the plot device we're going with. I don't remember how he did it. It's some type of weird magic.
He has his like healer abilities are a bit kind of a bit broken, a bit weird, but
they're MacGuffin-y. It's whatever the plot needs him to do, he suddenly has the ability to do.
Pretty much. And how they explain it is like anybody that he heals, he gains their ability or something like that, or like learns how to do their ability or something. It's very like poorly explained and executed.
So he's like a really perverted Kirby.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, he's a pervy.
Ugh. Let's not. I feel bad for mentioning him now. I feel bad for mentioning Kirby and having him anything to do with this.
We're sorry, Kirby. Your new game for the Switch is very good.
I've heard good things about that one too.
Live long, prosper, Kirby.
Live long and prosper. Yes. So
thing.
So then he basically, the story starts anew for him again.
Right.
But he takes a lot of preventative action from letting the same mistakes happen over and over again.
Right. So he goes to relive the same life, but he kind of does it a little differently now, having memories of the first time he did it. So he has basically this like eye that turns green sometimes that just like lets him see into the future, basically, of like what would happen. So, basically like what happens is he becomes a healer. He goes through the same exact processes over again with the kingdom. But at every turn, he kind of like does something to combat the problems that he's facing or going to face. Because, like, for example, he refuses to kind of heal people at a certain point for the kingdom, and then they basically lock him in a jail cell and then force him to heal people. And then, like, they got people coming in to just like rape him, and then they get him.
Yeah. So what happens is he refuses to do it because he gets all their memories too, and he feels all their pain. So he's basically torturing himself whenever he has to heal people. That's why he got so resistant to doing it. So this kingdom said, okay, we're gonna lock you in a dungeon. And the princess of this kingdom was wildly abusive anyway. Her strategy was, okay, I'm gonna make you so dependent on drugs that you'll have to heal people in order to get your fix of these drugs. And so she would pour the drugs on the floor and like stomp his face into it, so he'd lap up the drugs while her foot was on his face. It all got very fetishistic.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, people heard there was a healer down there, so they wanted some of his healing magic. So people would just go down there and rape him, men, females, whoever.
Which is like, okay, at what point in this show did they say that healing power is sexually transferred? Because it just sounds like this is just an excuse to make a rape anime. Because it's literally just people being like, yeah, I've been drinking this guy's... Hey, you guys want to rape this guy in the dungeon with me? I've been drinking his cum every day. And like, what has it done for you? And also, he's like, like back when he was going through it the first time too, he was like, yeah, I'd have sex with maids in the castle every single night and take their experiences with me while having sex with them. And I was like, okay, say that you actually did get some maid experiences and maid powers while having sex with maids. What the fuck experience did you get, bro? Did you know how to Clorox now or some shit?
You know how to Clorox.
What are you gaining from this? And like, what are they gaining from having sex with you? It's just kind of like, I don't understand the reasoning behind any of that, but that's what's happening throughout the whole show, basically.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I really fucking do not. That's honestly a lot I feel about the show is I don't fucking understand what's going on.
Yeah, I just don't get it. But either way, right? So all that stuff keeps happening, right?
Right.
And the princess, it's notable that she has a big hand in keeping him prisoner and giving him drugs. Her name's Flare.
Yeah.
And she keeps like doing this shit to him. Like they keep like basically pimping him out to all the people in like the kingdom who just like want a fix of like, it's some pretty weird stuff. And then she also at one point, because there's also like, it's not even like a sexual angle like that, it's a sexual angle in a lot of other places, because she at one point like is sitting in like the dungeon with him, and she like pours like drugs all over her like vagina, and he's like in there and she's like, lick it, dog, and he's like licking her and she's getting off and he's licking, and I'm like, yo, what is this show?
That's the thing. This is all, it's porn in a way.
It's like porn, but this is like if the phrase "no means yes" was an anime.
This is basic. You know what I relate this to? This is just a hardcore version of a lot of those 1970s era rape revenge films.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of what's going on. But the thing is, those people were usually either innocent or they were justified in taking their actions. We quickly learned that our protagonist is a goddamn douchebag.
Yeah.
Because he goes on to do these things to a lot of people who did him no wrong.
Yes. So yes, there are a lot of people in his past life that did like mess with him, like this princess. Like there's this other group of heroes, the Bullet and the Blade or something, like consistently like torture him and do weird
and
shit
whenever anime has a black character, like a character is meant to invoke an African American, and whenever that they portray him as like very aggressively sexual or something, I'm always like, Japan, calm down.
Yeah,
calm down.
It's
calm the fuck
weird.
down.
It's a little weird. And then there's like a weird scene where like Flare makes him like kiss her or something to get drugs, and then the Blade, who's a girl, has a thing for Flare, so she like tortures him and says like, how could you kiss Flare? And then she's like, but these are the lips that touch the lips of Flare. And then she starts kissing him, and I'm like,
starts
what
making out with him.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the hell is going on?
It's a lot of sick sexual stuff, and it's not really meant to be erotic, I don't think, in any way. It's honestly just kind of horrifying more than anything else.
I think my biggest thing, and we'll get to finishing like a little synopsis in a bit, but my biggest thing with watching this was, this is what everybody thinks anime fans like to watch. I feel
yes, that is a great point.
This is like such a randomly stereotypical thing that I feel like it's like, I feel like if anybody walks in on you watching anime, they're like, oh, is it like some perverted bullshit like that? And you're no, it's not. But in this case, it is.
It totally is. No, this case it's even more deplorable than a lot of other stuff that we've talked about in the past. It's just, and I'm gonna say something very means a lot to me. So some people are going to say, no surprise here, but I'm going to offer a formal apology to Violence Jack.
Wow.
Because at its heart, Jack was still a moral compass. He was a centerpiece in all this chaos, and like the show had a point to existing, you know. And maybe, who knows, maybe as this show goes on, our main character will get all the comeuppance he deserves and will learn a lesson.
Sure.
And something will come from it. But at least in Violence Jack, you had one character who was trying to do something positive.
Yeah.
Our main character here is deplorable and a monster. Can you argue he was broken because of his experiences? Yes. And as the show goes on, I hope that he pays for his actions, because, like, you know, later on there's this Ice Wolf character. It's an Ice Wolf girl. He buys her as a slave and then says something to the effect of, you can earn your freedom through this, and that. There's this Ice Wolf village getting attacked. So fucking our, what are the fucking character's name is? It's like,
Kaoru? Kaoru. And the wolf girl is Setsuna.
Setsuna, yeah.
Yes.
So they say, all right, let's just go murder this entire attacking, like, you know, troop of soldiers, and then I'm just gonna have a lot of sex with you.
It's like, because, and then there's also this weird like power dynamic and manipulation dynamic and everything that happens, because he's like, I know you've only been able to reach a certain level of your power levels.
Yes.
But I know how to get you to the next level of your power levels. And she's like, how?
And it's my penis.
Yeah, it's just my penis. And he does that shit all the time.
If this was a comedy, that'd be hysterical.
Right. But it was just like, sad. It was just depressing.
It's sad, and it's quite manipulative.
Oh my god. There was also this. Holy shit. Okay, Rob. This is when I started watching the uncensored version, and boy, it is burned into my brain, because the second episode, I believe, when he finally escapes from prison.
Yeah.
In the kingdom, right? He escapes from prison. And because he, like, you know, built up a tolerance for these drugs, and he developed all these powers. He's been able to break out for some time, but he wanted to make them think that they were safe. So he breaks out, and he, like, finally gets to Flare, and he tries to exact his revenge of all, like, the years of punishment that she's inflicted on him in his past life. And this was just like the most maniacal thing. He was like, all right, so what I'm gonna do, Flare, is I'm gonna break your fingers one by one.
I remember this scene.
Yes.
He broke all her fingers. Like, the bet was, I'm gonna break all your fingers. If you don't scream, I'll stop.
Yeah.
And then he broke 9 of them and said, okay. And he healed the other 9. He healed all her fingers back. Said, let's start again. And then she screams like, oh, not fair. It was, the whole thing is like,
my god.
It's like it's a sick revenge.
My mouth was agape at that part when he was like, when he broke 9 of her fingers, and she was like, oh my god, I haven't screamed yet, I only got 1 more. And he was like, I'm gonna heal him. And then he heals him again. He's like, I didn't break 10 of them yet. And he just starts breaking them again. And in the uncensored version, you see like her broken fingers and shit. And it's like, oh, it's gruesome. It's pretty bad. It's pretty gross, dude. And then of course he, you know, has sex with her. Well,
he threatens to violate her with a fire poker first.
Oh, that's right. Oh my god, I remember texting you during that part and being like, oh my god, because the subtitle was like, it was like a fire poker that was on fire, and he was like, do you want my rod or this rod? And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, no, it's a sick. Yeah, that got me bad.
And then he like gets her pregnant in some way and then brainwashes her and stuff. So now she's his slave. And then that's when he gets the wolf girl, now Setsuda, to be his slave. And so he's just kind of building this roster of sex slaves, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of what's happening, and like seeking his revenge and doing this weird revenge porn stuff for 12 episodes. Because to be honest,
it's basically, thank you, it's revenge porn.
It's revenge porn for 12 episodes. And
Well, but we assume. We got to 4.
We would assume.
We got to 4 or 5. We don't.
Right. Actually, I read ahead.
Okay.
I didn't read everything, but I read some synopsis because I was like, okay, I'm going to stop watching at this point because I don't know. I do not want to continue this. I simply cannot continue watching this show.
It also looks like shit.
It looks bad. Yes.
Yeah.
It does.
The animation is
also
just
look
not
bad.
good. It's cheap. It's really cheap.
It's also very bad. Yes. And I was watching it, and then I stopped and I was like, I can't do this anymore. But then I read some synopsis because I was like, okay, I want to like see, for example, let me scroll down to the end of the season for the 12th episode synopsis or something. And basically what I was reading was like, oh yeah, there were a couple other names in there of like girls that I haven't met in the show yet, but he was like, he just has sex with a bunch of them while one of them like masturbates and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck is this show?
Jesus Christ.
And I was like, just call it hentai. Just make a hentai and call it a day. You do not have to put this out to people that are just I don't know. And I went through some of the reviews too on like my anime list and stuff and on Google reviews and whatnot. Yeah. And the reviews are largely kind of positive. And I think one of them was like, oh yeah, this is like basically just such like stereotypical like bullshit revenge porn. And I loved it, honestly. And I was like, what is that? Who is enjoying this right now? Who is like, this is a good show? Because it has like a decent like 6.5 rating on a couple things out of 10. It has like a 4.2 out of 5 on a couple places. It's like kind of crazy.
Bouncy, do you see how sad I look right now?
Yeah, you look very sad. You look very depressed right now.
I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with the amount of positivity the show is apparently getting, because oh my God, if it's just this for 8 more episodes,
it is. It doesn't change. He just recruits more people. He just gets more revenge. And yeah. And
I can understand I can understand of liking the idea of this show, like, power fantasies in general.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I can understand the idea of that being appealing, especially if you're at a very low point in your life. But this is sick. This isn't healthy.
Yeah,
there's no point to this show. It's an awful person just being awful and facing literally no repercussions. Yeah. Again, to bring up Violence Jack again, Violence Jack was fighting something. That was deplorable in its own way. But now, I can appreciate it so much more because this is just fucking garbage.
Yeah, this is like, it's like I can't even, when I was watching it, I was like, I can't even make any jokes about this thing because it is just like, it's just in itself, like, just ridiculous. Like, there is nothing I could do. Like, a man is just trying to ruin everybody's life and just kill people and commit acts of sexual assault for 12 episodes. And he's just got like magic cum. Like, it's just such a weird premise. And I don't know what you would get from it besides like some sort of like sick pleasure out of it, I guess.
If you get pleasure out of the show, fine, I guess, but I don't want to talk to you.
I know. It's like a weird thing because I'm like, for this episode, because the Violence Jack episode, I believe the Kite episode, one of those episodes, I had like an explicit warning or something, and I was like, all right, this is gonna have to be like a doubly explicit warning for this episode because there's a lot of triggering stuff in there.
There's a lot of triggers all over the place. So yeah, Bouncy, give it like a warning and then give an apology at the end.
Yeah,
if you don't
I'm
mind.
gonna give like a warning label, an apology label, and like a you sick fuck label.
You sick fuck. You sick fuck.
But this shit is it is just off the rocker.
It's bad and I hate it.
Yeah. So give me the full review on your end. It's bad and you hate it. Give me the full review.
I don't know how much more I can say, only because what did this show really do? In terms of interest, there's no real interesting plot. It's just one character. It's basically to me, it feels like a Skyrim playthrough where you choose all the horrible options. It feels like an RPG experience gone wrong.
It does,
That is what this show feels like to me. Because I'm trying to think, there was never a moment I was engaged with any character. I only felt disgusted. There was no moment where I felt our main character was cool or justified in anything he was doing. Well, like, I can understand wanting revenge on the people who wronged you. I can get that. But it falls apart once he starts scamming people out of he goes to merchants and tries to scam them.
Oh yeah.
He enslaves the ice girl, and then I think the moment that broke me, it's actually the start of episode 5, which I stopped watching immediately afterwards.
Okay.
It was Freya because he brainwashed her and changed her name.
Right.
And carries her around as a slave as well. I think we mentioned that, but I'm just like, I'm zoning out just thinking about the show. I'm so aggravated.
No, I don't blame you one bit. Continue.
And then the ice Setsuna, the ice wolf girl, they're frolicking in the water, having fun. And then next thing you know, our main character goes, I think I'm gonna have fun too. He gets in the water and just starts fucking Setsuna raw.
Yes, I also stopped around that point as well.
And her thing's like, oh, I like it better when it's just you and me, because Freya's watching the entire time, and then like she's diddling herself and then wants to get some of the action too. And I'm like, is there anything redeeming about this show? Honestly, no. The world is not a world. The world is just any typical like medieval RPG template, and then just that's it. There's nothing else.
It's some bullshit isekai world that's
nothing
been done millions of times, and there's nothing special. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of funny to me right now, only because I thought I would have a lot more to say about the show than I did. But and I guess the main point I got to harp on again is that the show just looks bad. The animation here is not good. The colors are all weird. The line work is awful. Like, all the characters look blurry and fuzzy. It looks like the show hasn't been fully rendered or completed yet. It just looks bad. The music is nothing. It's not bad by any means, but it's nothing. It's just fucking nothing.
Yeah. I think when every episode concluded, I just looked at my black screen and just took a big sigh and just took a big deep breath, looked at myself in the computer screen, and I was like, man, I don't know how much longer I could be doing this.
we both look significantly sadder during this episode, like as we're talking right now. So I'm almost tempted to call this one an episode just because I'm getting so sad talking about this.
Yeah, I think my last point about this was that it's definitely bad, as we've said many times.
Don't watch it.
I could never recommend this to anybody. There would not be one instance where I would be like, man, yeah, check this out. No, it is garbage. It is trash. Does not get any better. It is just like an absolute piece of shit show. I cannot believe this thing was created.
I can believe this was written because it was originally a light novel. I can imagine someone sitting down to write this who's a sick fuck.
Right.
But the fact that so many people got involved in making this a series, that I can't believe.
It feels like a very hyper-erotic fan fiction that got made into an anime.
Oh yeah, no, this seems like a rough draft fan fiction, not even a good one.
Yeah.
And it seems it's dark, edgy fan fiction that got printed and made. So,
and for anybody like who has seen it, who is listening to this right now, and maybe you're mad at us for saying it's a horrible trash show. Give us the reasoning you got, because man, I don't think there's any reasoning that you could tell me that won't make me think it's a piece of garbage.
This episode upset me wildly.
Me too, and I'm happy. Like we have a few sessions today, and I'm happy we didn't do this last, because that would have been pretty rough. I would have probably just been depressed for the rest of the day.
Wow, we should have changed the order on these. I wish we started with this today.
Oh yeah, maybe that would have been a good idea, but it's okay because we can end talking about Japanese wrestling and be happy.
Spoilers.
But yeah, so that was Redo of Healer. I would never redo it.
Don't redo it. Don't fucking redo it. Don't even do it.
I would never recommend anybody does it even the first time. No, thank you. Hard pass. Goodbye, Redo of Healer. Never again.
Goodbye. We hate you.
Bye.
It's bad.
Wow, oh my god, what a rousing podcast of anime conversation. Am I right, my compares? Am I right, my weebdom? Anywho, yeah, you can send us a message if you want. Did you like this podcast? Did you hate this podcast? Do you want to kill me? Do you want to drench me in Calaxosaur blood and watch me drink it? That's fine. Just send us an email at badanimepod@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram at badanimepod, all one word. You can also find us on YouTube as Bad Anime, and you can leave a comment on whatever video you want to leave a comment on. We'll read them all anyways. We don't care. I love you. Kiss, kiss.
In your ear. Podcast Network.